Hey, we're back doing some more SQL challenges. We're looking at Data with Danny's 8-week SQL challenge. We're on case study 2, the pizza runner task. And in this video, we're going to be tackling this section, section C, in ingredient optimization. So in this section, we'll be working with the same schema as before. We'll be diving into these tables over here to understand the pizza toppings, the pizza recipes, these sections here. Okay, let's get into this. So I've gone and loaded all those tables into Snowflake as usual. So question 1, what are the standard ingredients for each pizza? So if I go back to my diagram, I know I'm going to need to know these recipes as well as these toppings as well. So I'm going to be needing these two tables. So let's go and query those. So if I go and query pizza recipes, here I find I've got simple table, two IDs, but I've got these list of toppings formatted in a list, like a comma separated list. I need to have that in a different format if I'm going to be able to make a join. Okay, so what I'm trying to do in this task is I've got my pizza recipes here, this data that's come back. What I need to do is try and get it to join to the pizza topping so I can work out what these names are. At the moment, 1, 2, and 3 aren't very helpful. So I need to try and split this list into rows itself so I can join it with pizza toppings. And for that, I'm going to do a couple of functions, a lateral join and also a split to table function. Okay, what lateral's doing here is allowing me to reference pizza recipes, which I can then use for split to table. So split to table lets me take pizza recipes and then do some modification to the table, which I can then query later. You'll see it happen. So we do the split to table. I can take a string, which is going to be my toppings here. So I want to take each of these toppings and I want to split them by this string, this comma. Okay. So what you notice is I'll get these extra columns come back. So pizza and toppings as before, but we get the sequence, the index, and the value as well. So these are all good row number identifiers for me. So this tells me which row it originally came from. This tells me the order of the split, and this tells me the value. Yeah, so we can see the last number was 10, but its index value was 8. Okay, so now I've got my pizza toppings as a list. So I can now tidy this up a little bit so I can see those values. So give this an alias. Okay, so I've got rid of those other columns, just got my pizza ID and the toppings. Now we can try and make that join to that pizza toppings table. So here on the join, we won't be able to use that alias, I'll use the s.value, pull that in. Okay, now I should be able to say, bring everything from the pizza topping table, that query. Okay, so we can see that now. So I've got my toppings coming back and my topping names as well. Okay. Okay, so it's asking me what are the standard ingredients for each pizza. So I've got a list here of ingredients for each pizza. So what I believe the question is asking are which pizzas have the same ingredients in common with each other. So I can do that by looking at the count for how many times that ingredient occurs on that pizza. So I can move this about. I can take my pizza ID down here. I can do a count distinct. I'll do count distinct just in case there's cases where the ingredient is multiple times on that pizza. Okay, so I know, for example, here cheese appears on both of the pizzas. So what I can do is add a having clause to do this filtering for me, so I can filter this aggregate using my having clause. You can see that working, and then we can get rid of this last case. Okay, so from this query we can see that cheese and mushrooms will be standard on all the pizzas. Okay, question 2. What was the most commonly added extra? So remember those extras from the customer orders table, we can start there. Okay, so I've got my customer orders table. I've got that column here of extras, which we remember. And before, remember, you have cases like this where it comes back as a comma separated string. So we're going to need to do the same function again, that lateral left join again. So I can take what we've done before and copy and paste that down. Instead of toppings, I want extras in this case. And we'll give that a run. Okay, I'm going to tidy up some of the fields just so you can see what's coming back. In most cases where we don't have any extras, we won't have any values coming back, which is fine. Then we start getting some coming back. So you can see here that our 1 and 5 has been split, which is perfect. That's what we want. So what we need to do now is just tidy up this value column here. We can do that using some of the text manipulation we did before. So if I do say where length of s dot value is greater than 0 on that, and then I can also get rid of this null. If I run that, I've got my values coming back about the extras. So now I can just take a count of these. The results are back. I've got topping 1 is the highest in this case. I just need to go and know what that topping name is. So I'm going to do that, join back to my pizza toppings. Okay, so I've got that come back now, which is all good. I just need to find what was the most commonly added extra. So what's the top result in this case? So you can use top 1, depending on your version of SQL, which will bring that back. I typically do limit 1. In this query, I just need to also double check that I'm ordering this correctly. I can't always rely on SQL to return the order this form is. I'm going to add this order by clause here. And there's our answer. Question 3, very similar to question 2. What was the most common exclusion? So I can take exactly what I've done before in question 2 and just copy and paste that. Okay, so I've got my query from question 2. Now I can just change this. So instead of doing our split to table on extras, I'm going to do this on exclusions. I'm going to get rid of the limit for now, just see how this goes. And I'm going to change this to exclusions. Okay, so we've got it there. So we can see that in most cases, cheese was excluded. As before, I can't really rely on SQL to return this in the correct order, so I need to specify that order by. All good. Okay, question 4, this is where we kind of build on what we've done in questions 1 to 3. So we've got to generate an order item for each record in the customer orders table in the format of meat lovers, and then disclose all the exclusions or extras. So exclude beef, extra bacon. So we're going to need to know that list of toppings that have been excluded and those that have been added extra, as well as the pizza names and everything else. Okay, so first off, I'm going to start off by doing 2 common table expressions, one for my extras and one for my exclusions, and start from there. And I can use the queries I had earlier to try and bring this in. So if I start bringing in my extras from before, or those toppings that were added, all I need to know is what the topping was and what pizza relates to in what order. So I'm going to get rid of this aggregation to start with. So yes, these are still applicable, so I only want to see things that were added extra here. So let's do pizza ID, and then we also need that order ID. And I'm going to take that from customer orders. So I'm just going to rearrange this for my own sanity. So if we run this, we know that in order 5, they had pizza 1 and they wanted bacon added extra. Okay. But I have an issue here. So in order 9, they want bacon and chicken. So when I do my lookup, I only want to return one value, that comma separated string. Like here, so I know that in this case they want extra, they want mushrooms and pepper. So I'm going to need to combine these two like it looked for aggregating them together. So we can use a function called listAgg to put these rows together in a single cell. So listAgg, see, it comes back with some options there. So I need to go distinct, want a distinct list of this topping, split by comma separated string. Okay. To run that. Okay, so what is going on here is that SQL is telling me that because this is effectively aggregating these rows, I need to go and put these two other cells in a group by statement. Okay, so we see that comes back. So we've got my orders, got my pizzas, and got those added extras in there as well. Okay. Okay, now I need to go and do the same for those exclusions. So I'm going to make this a common table expression. So I can just do the same again and just revert this for my exclusions. Okay, so for this, as before, I just need to change this to exclusions. And I'm going to add the alias of excluded. Yes. So we'll run the common table expression at the top, but we don't reference it later, so that's fine. So now I have my list of pizzas by those that had these exclusions as well. Okay, so I'm going to put this in another common table expression. Okay, so I've got my extras, I've got my exclusions. Now what I need is a list of all those orders and all those pizzas so I can look up, put these results in there for them. What I'm thinking here is that you may have a pizza that would say you have an order where you had, say, 2 meat lovers pizzas, but one, say, without mushrooms and one without cheese. It'd be hard for me to know which was the right one, so I want to use these extras and exclusions as like a lookup for this. So I've got back here my list of orders, list of extras and exclusions. What I'm going to do now is go and join in these tables as well. I'm going to add in those columns for extras and inclusions just to make that join happen as well. Now for this case, I want to do left joins because I don't want to filter out any pizzas that or any orders that didn't have an extra or an exclusion. Okay, I'm going to do the same just for exclusions now as well. Okay, so I'm bringing those columns in. I can get rid of this. I can get rid of this. I can bring in my CO here. My CO in here. I just need to bring in these values. Okay, what I need next is I'm going to need those pizza names as well. So we're going to go find that from pizza names. Okay, so what the question is asking me for is meat lovers, then dash extra, exclude beef, extra cheese, things. So I can go and add these into my query now. So I can try and format these cells a bit better. So this column, this function will allow me to paste two strings together. Only thing I've got to watch out for is some of these nulls. So if it's null, I want it to give no value at all. I want it to just be blank in these cases. So I can use a function called coalesce, which will change this from null to nothing. Okay, so it gives me, I can assign a value to nulls. So coalesce this thing to nothing. Okay, so if I run that, you can see that coming through here. So now those nulls are gone and I've got just blanks instead. So if I was to go and concatenate all this together, now it does specifically say meat lovers with a space, so you can be a bit pedantic and add that in as well. I will in this case, so I can just go case when pizza name. If I run that again, get these different order details, so you can see that meat lovers is coming back. Space. 5. Generate an alphabetically ordered, comma separated ingredient list for each pizza from custom orders. Add 2 times in front of any relevant ingredients. Okay, so 2 times bacon. Okay, so this means we're going to have to look back into that work we've done on ingredients and there's extras and there's inclusions. So we can build on a lot of what we've done earlier. We're just not going to do the concatenation quite so early in these cases. All right, let's go back and find where we started off with working out our extras and our exclusions. Okay, so I've got those CTEs, those common table expressions from earlier. I'm just going to change them because I don't want this list aggregation anymore. I want a list of my ingredients for now because I'm going to need to count them later to then form up the rest of this question. So let's change this. Okay, so if I run that select star, this is my extra CTE, so I want those individual ones because then I'm going to group these together, do that count. Okay, so you can see our extras and our exclusions are coming through as we would want. So we've got this list of items that are going to be excluded, some that will be added. Now we just got to work out what items are actually in the pizzas to start with as standard. So for that, I'm going to go to my customer orders, work out those pizzas and those recipes to form that. Okay, so I've run that. I've got my pizza orders. I've combined it with the pizza recipes to find out their list of toppings. I've then gone and split that using the lateral join to the table, split to table on that comma separator. So now I've got these individual topping IDs coming back down the line here for me. Now I'm just going to go and join that to my pizza toppings to work out what these toppings are, and then we should be in a good place. Okay, from our orders we've got here, I want to know what ingredients here have been excluded by a customer. So I'm going to take my orders CTE and I'm going to left join it to my excluded CTE. Yeah, so the main thing is I've got all these nulls here. So this is what I'm going to use to find my ingredients that aren't being excluded. I'm going to just set this one of these columns to null. Okay, so doing that, I've got my pizzas, my toppings, and then none of these are going to be excluded from the ingredients. So that is good. So I'm just going to tidy this up a little bit. Okay, so now I've got my pizzas, I've got my ingredients. Now I need to go and add in those extras again. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to union table with the extras we created earlier. Okay, so what I've done here, I've union these two tables together. Note I've been using union all here. All means I'm just going to put the two data sets together. If you do union itself, that will run a distinct clause on the result. So it would remove any of those duplicates, which we don't want in this case. So if someone had, say, had a pizza with cheese on it, then ordered extra cheese, that line of extra cheese would be removed. So we want to have both tables together so we can do that calculation. Now we're going to need to take account of our different toppings. So I'm going to make this another common table expression. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to count any column here. I'm going to count, say, topping ID in this case. Okay, so we can see here for, say, pizza 1, for chicken, they want 2 counts of chicken. So now what I'm going to do is work out my pizza names, and I'm going to get this ordered in the correct order. So for this, I want to go and get those 2 x's involved, or 2 times the ingredient. So I'm going to do another common table expression just to get this in a nice format. So I've got this, so I've got my pizza name. So what I can do now is I can put down a case expression, case when in, just greater than 1, then okay, so there we go. So I've got this working. Okay, so that looks like that's coming through okay. I'm now going to that function we had before where we can go and aggregate all these into a list. Got my pizzas here. I just need to bring this pizza name into this as well. So we can do that with the concatenation. What I'm going to do is run another common table expression to paste these two together. just so this works, because otherwise it's going to be aggregating and including this in this list. Don't really want that. But you will notice again it's using meat lovers with the space and a capital L. I will change it again in this case. Oh, good. Okay, so that's meat lovers coming back in alphabetical order. Requested. All looking good. Okay, question 6. What is the total quantity of each ingredient used in all delivered pizzas, sorted most frequent first? So we've done a lot of this before, so we can go back to here, question 5, take this long list of common table expressions here. Okay, so we've got, these are all our pizzas that were produced, these different topping names. The question asks us here for delivered pizzas, so we know that. We know how to work that out with the runner's orders, so we need to go and find out which of these pizzas were delivered, then do a count of this. Okay, so if I run this, I've got extra data coming back here. Also see this one that was cancelled. So we know that any order that wasn't cancelled was delivered in this case. So we need to get rid of any of these nulls here. Okay, so I've got this. I've got it filtered for those that are cancelled. So saying if it's null, spelled out as null, just an empty string. We want those all included. Those are okay. So now I just got to go and find total quantity of each ingredient. Okay, I can do that. Okay, and I just need to order this, so I can go and order by. Yeah, so that answers that question. So we know the bacon was the most frequently delivered topping. Okay, that wraps it up for this section. I will see you in the next one. Bye.